This is the Morning Buzz on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. I am the host of the Wednesday edition, Kenny Horn, joined by my co-host. He is back. He is better than ever. We have the man, the myth, dare I say, the legend, Trevor Gioia.
Thank you. It's good to be back. It's been a rough 2 weeks, but I'm back. I'm ready for the Morning Buzz to be back. Ready to be back on the Morning Buzz again.
That's great. We have our newscaster, Francis Churchill. I don't know what's going on. If you are watching in Facebook Live, I don't know what it is, but he looks like he has like the Ultra HD 4K camera for Zoom. I don't know what's going on.
It's called lighting. I have a lighting whole light right in my face. So
wow, that makes the actual camera itself look even better. And Thomas Tartar, our sportscaster, with his NHL background. How you doing, Thomas?
I'm doing fine.
All right. We've got a great show for you all today. This is the first time in a few weeks that this crew's been back together. The regular crew. It's the regular show. Isn't that an actual TV show? I feel like I should know that.
Yeah, it is, but
you should.
Cartoon Network will tell it for you.
All right. Before we get into our news source of the day, Francis, tell us what's going on.
So,
This news is brought to you by 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair.
So, lawyers for local governments across the nation have announced that they were on the verge of a $26 billion settlement with the drug-making company Johnson & Johnson regarding several of their products causing massive opioid addiction. In New Jersey, the State Department of Environmental Protection has issued an air quality alert for 14 counties in north and central New Jersey because of the smoke that has been drifting over the state from several wildfires throughout the western United States and western Canada. And in Montclair School Superintendent Jonathan Pons stated that he has, quote unquote, lost sleep over the poor state of school buildings, stating our buildings are very old, they need repair, and it's going to cost money. And he told the Board of Education members when they came together for a retreat meeting on July 14th, the time is now to repair our crumbling school system. And for weather, it is currently cloudy with some sun at 77 degrees with highs of 84 and lows of 70 with a roughly 60% chance of rain.
That's a lot of percent chance of rain.
Yeah.
I like the rain, though, so it makes me happy.
Yeah, we kind of want the rain right now.
When they say rain on my parade, I say I hope you do.
I really don't. I like being outside, but that's just me. That and also like my dog needs to be walked like 3 times a day, so it kind of hampers that.
Can you walk a dog in the rain?
I mean, you can, but you can also get the dog sick from the rain, and there's not going to be as many to play with. So
really?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that makes sense. It's funny how something that just comes from the sky, just water from the sky, can make us sick.
Yeah, well, it changes your body composition and changes your body temperature. So unfortunately, yeah, it does.
I guess that's why they call it a cold. Now, I'm assuming we have very big news for our sportscast because I actually kind of know what happened last night. Thomas, do you want to tell us about it?
Okay, yes, but first I'm going to tell you about something that's happening in the NHL tonight. We'll get to that. We'll get to your big story in just a minute. But tonight at 8 is the draft for the newest NHL expansion franchise, the Seattle Kraken. Some of the top names available are Stanley Cup final goaltender Carey Price and Blues winger Vladimir Tarasenko. Now, in NBA news, downtown Milwaukee, Wisconsin was absolutely electric yesterday as the Milwaukee Bucks, led by a 50-point performance from Giannis, won the game 105-98 to win their first NBA championship since 1971. And just some quick MLB scores. Yesterday, the Yankees beat the Phillies 6-4, and the Reds beat the Mets 4-3. Tonight, the Mets will take on the Reds at 12:35, and the Yankees will take on the Phillies at 7:05. And on this day in sports history, on this day in 1996, Wayne Gretzky signed a 2-year contract with the New York Rangers.
You know, I was thinking about it when you said Seattle Kraken, but the NHL seems to have the best team names.
Yeah, they weirdly do.
That's an amazing team name, the Seattle Kraken. I would not want to mess with them.
No.
Right? They got the Vegas Golden Knights. I can't think. I don't know anymore. I mean, I know a few more, but none that are good.
The Capitals.
Edmonton
Timberwolves,
Oilers
I
is
would think
pretty
that's a
boring.
good
I
team
will
name.
admit. All right. That's not our point, though. We are not a sports show. If you are into a sports show, though, we got plenty of other here at the station. We are a news entertainment show, so we're going to move on
Yeah.
to the news. Our first story for today. Trevor, tell us about it.
Yo, it's crazy that we still have a lot of people still not understanding that masks are going to be a big thing in the fall. In many of the non-vaccinated states, the states that have the most non-vaccinations are unfortunately dealing with the circumstances of polarized political debate because of the mask mandates and the mask rules coming out in the school year for this approaching school year for the fall, which is crazy to me because it's like the spread of the Delta variant has been crazier and crazier, and just it's causing a lot of conflict between both the public schools and the people that don't want to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, we have this story from AP News where it talks about where students in Wichita, Kansas, their public schools, they can ditch the mask when classes begin.
Yeah.
So that's where the controversy comes from. Detroit schools will probably require them unless everyone in the room is vaccinated. Pittsburgh, masks will likely be required. And with COVID cases soaring just all throughout the country, school districts across the United States are yet again confronting the realities of a polarized country and the lingering pandemic as they navigate the requirements for the masks and social distancing. It is becoming obvious that public schools are conflicted on putting on masks or conflicted on putting in mask rules since it was made a political issue. So the convergence between masks and what your political beliefs are, even though that is, dare I say, ridiculous, because science doesn't belong in politics, at least in that form, I should say, is astounding.
It is astounding because they're making something that's a non-issue into an issue, which is this idea that science says something about what we should do, and then the people in La La Land or whatever.
That's a great movie. Sorry, that's a side point.
Yeah.
Just ignore what I say. Trevor,
Yeah.
no, did not mean to say Trevor. I meant to say Thomas Francis. It's my excuse is that you've been gone for a couple of weeks. Thomas Francis, what are your thoughts?
So I think it obviously is an issue, but I also think it depends on the specific region and how many deaths and cases they have per capita. For example, in certain areas, cases have risen much more than other areas. Like, for example, in Florida, cases have risen by over 24,000, whereas in states that are bigger than even Florida, you have states like California where they've risen by only 6,000. So that's several times less. But then you see with Florida, they've completely abandoned the idea of a mask mandate, whereas California has brought back a mask mandate. So it really depends on like the specific region and where they're in. And again, also, it's like obviously we've all, it's fair to say that we've all done a lot of research and have looked deeply into how to stop the spread of COVID-19 and how to best combat the virus.
I
When
think you're
most
giving a lot of people a lot of credit
yeah.
there, Francis.
I mean, somewhat, but a lot of people just don't, and they don't obviously do any sort of research whatsoever, and they just listen to what they see on the news.
Yeah.
And then when you see the way the media covers the vaccine, whenever there is a slight issue with almost any single person having with the COVID-19 vaccine, despite the fact that it's way safer than potentially getting the COVID-19 virus itself, there's mass attention drawn to it. When there is the potentiality of the J&J vaccine giving women blood clots or other people developing health issues or a few people still getting COVID-19 from it, that made continuous news throughout the US. So I also think the way it's covered impacts the way people think about the COVID-19 vaccine.
That's completely true. It's a terrible analogy. But it's kind
It-
of like we're a circus here.
I was just gonna say I definitely agree with Francis when he says it comes to a geographical region, and I was actually looking up while we were talking about this what Montclair public schools plan to do, and right now they state that this is a statement from a couple weeks ago, but they state right now that they're going to be following the New Jersey Department of Health guidelines when it comes to wearing a mask in public schools.
I feel like a lot of it is localized, which is,
Yeah.
in my opinion, actually a good thing. I think I want there to be less masks and less rules for social distancing,
Yeah.
assuming people are vaccinated.
Which I
Because that's what the point of the vaccination is, and that includes schools.
Yeah.
One thing that has confused me is, I correct me if I'm wrong, but vaccine isn't approved for anybody under 12, correct?
No, it's not. It's not approved.
Not.
You're still
I've been
testing it out.
wondering what they're gonna do for, I don't know, fourth graders,
I think
children under.
most public schools in New Jersey are following kind of like the what they're doing in Montclair, which is follow what the Department of Health says. So right now the policy is I think it's mask optional for like anybody 12 and up, but you still have to wear a mask if you're in that category that can't get vaccinated yet.
Yeah, considering the vast majority of like New Jersey has one of the highest vaccination rates in the entire country.
Governor Murphy killed it.
That's because
I think he did a great job.
that's because Governor Murphy said, no fuss, no frills, just get the vaccine because
Don't be a knucklehead.
don't be a knucklehead. Calling us knuckleheads, calling us this. Yeah, that's definitely great motivation. It is.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Well, I think it's also because of even more so than that, it's also considering this state has been hit the worst out of any state in the US by COVID-19.
That's true.
So that the reality of so many people knowing, because I believe it's like nearly 1 in like 400 New Jerseyans died of COVID-19. So
Wow.
roughly that many people having died from COVID. It's the worst per capita in the entire country and one of the worst per capita rates in the entire world. So this state's been hit harder by COVID-19 than anywhere else. And they're the most densely populated state. So if there's ever a new COVID-19 outbreak, we're super susceptible to that. So that's also a huge factor in why people are so willing to get the vaccine here in New Jersey, where if you're in a less populated state, like say the Dakotas, Wyoming, Alaska, it's like, okay, you only know a few people within the next few miles. So in their eyes, oh, COVID-19 is not going to be as bad as here, which is partially true. It's going to be much harder to spread there. So in their eyes, it's like, okay, why even get the vaccine?
Yeah.
Yeah. We are going to talk we're going to take a different step now. We're going to keep on talking about New Jersey, but we have another story about this. The weather here has been out of control. And while this isn't necessarily a weather here kind of thing, it does affect our quality of life and our quality of air, more importantly. Trevor, tell us what this one's about.
Yeah. So New Jersey weather, obviously yesterday, it was touched upon by Francis saying that the wildfire smoke from the western coast basically came all the way to New Jersey because of a jet stream from the other side of the country. Basically, the jet stream was forced and pushed it towards the more east coast of America, which is crazy to me. So basically, you had the upper level. So basically, this is going to be a little bit more sciencey. I'm reading from the actual article from NewJersey.com.
Okay.
The large plumes of smoke from the west have been traveling with the jet stream, those wavy, up-level currents of air, making their way to the sky over New Jersey, New York, and northeastern parts of the United States on Monday, and again on Tuesday morning. That's crazy to me. I was outside when I was at PT yesterday, and I felt I didn't feel like it was weird to me. I just thought like, oh, there must have been a really bad fire. And to me, it didn't freak me out as much.
Until it blocks out the sun. Literally when the sun
it actually didn't freak me out. It didn't.
So
it really didn't. I didn't know what it was at the time. I didn't.
So this story has to affect our air quality index. I learned what that was, I guess, in two different ways. I learned it just now and yesterday because I was looking on my phone yesterday and I was using GPS. In the little corner of the GPS app I use, they have something called AQI, and it said AQI like 154. And I was like, that's a big number. I don't know what that means. So I don't know if you guys do this, but when you see a new abbreviation, you're like, hey, I wonder what that means. And you start taking guesses at it. So I was like, it's air quality something. Well, it turns out it's air quality index, which I learned just now. And I have a little chart 0 to 50 on AQI. No problems with your health. Yellow, that would be the 51 to 100 range. Unusually sensitive people should reduce prolonged or heavy exertion outdoors. Orange is 101 to 150. Sensitive groups should reduce prolonged or heavy outdoor exertion. That includes people with heart and lung disease, children and older adults, and people that are active outdoors. Red, that's unhealthy. That's 151 to 200. Sensitive groups should avoid prolonged exposure or heavy exertion outdoors. And everyone in general should reduce prolonged or heavy exertion outdoors. Purple, very unhealthy, 201 to 300. Sensitive groups should avoid all physical activity outdoors. Everyone else should avoid prolonged or heavy outdoor exposure. And the worst group of all, the maroon, basically don't go outside. That is 301 to 500. So I'm bringing this up because I have no idea about this. And I feel like I am probably not alone in that and not knowing whatever that AQY in the corner of my screen was.
I actually have WeatherBug open, which is a weather app, and it currently says air quality 51, air quality 43, moderate.
Well, that's not that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that may not seem that bad, but I myself have definitely noticed a difference in,
Really?
yeah, I actually have a job where I have to work outside for a decent amount of time.
Oh,
And I have definitely noticed that that there a substantial difference in the air quality. I have I have been breathing a little harder.
really? Okay. Well, I'm gonna make a proclamation right now. I am, for those of you who don't know, I'm actually the producer of the Morning Buzz. I'm making producer proclamation right now. We will tell you the air quality index every single day.
Really?
That's right. This is very important to know, and this goes back to that I'm gonna start enforcing it. Francis, you better
Yeah,
start
I already
preparing
have
it.
the app. I already have the info on the app, so it's not a
That's
problem.
right. That's right. See, good boy. You don't get fired.
Yeah.
I can't fire anybody, but still. What was I saying? Oh yeah, this shows because I feel like it's everywhere we look now. There is something awful happening with the air quality, the ozone, the anything environmentally related. And just come on. Why do we gotta do that to Earth? It's been so nice to us for millions and millions and millions and
just
millions
Because
and millions of
capitalism.
years.
That's
because
basically yeah.
because
Exactly, Francis.
yeah, because it all goes back to capitalism.
And
As
literally,
long
it's
as
their profit incentive to pollute because it's cheaper for them, and they can able to sell it to several other places in the world that will buy for super cheap and buy it for more prices. And this is only unfortunately here's the unfortunate truthful news. It's only gonna get worse from here. Like we can only genuinely do so much at certain points to turn around and fix this. Hopefully, we're able to, but for the near future, air quality is going to get worse. And that's just an unfortunate reality. Like there's no, way to spin it. There's no positive note of it. And it's completely up to the people in power who have, completely yet to do any sort of meaningful action to address this issue whatsoever, regardless
because
of political
be-
party, Democrat or Republican.
because as one of my people told me, is one of my former coworkers told me, they said they want short-term solutions, they don't want long-term solutions. They would rather have a Band-Aid wound than really fix the wound and try to heal it and stuff.
Yeah, that, and they're given millions of dollars by the fossil fuel industry, both political parties within the country and throughout the rest of the Western world. So
It makes you think that those billionaires having an ego race. Oh, wait, sorry. Space race.
No, yeah.
Having a
Well, the
space
planet air quality is
space race are kind of up to something because
it's like a dystopian science fiction movie.
it kind
No,
of
it's
is.
real life.
We've ruined our own planet.
It's not. They can have their billionaire race. They can. I don't care because, quite honestly, it's going to come back to bite them, and I know it will.
Well, my point about that is that, well, I did call it an ego race, and I do think for the most part it is between most of them.
Yeah.
That there is some good out of it, that while I can't speak to the scientific challenges because I don't know them, it would be a great thing if we were able to colonize another planet, because look at what we're doing to this one.
I mean, if we're doing
But
this,
even then, look what we're going to do to the next one.
yeah, exactly. If we're doing this to our own planet, imagine what human beings are going to do to another planet.
Exactly. It's
capitalism.
we are ruining the galaxy.
We basically are a scourge on the galaxy.
Who's someone important? Hubble would be disappointed in us. He's the space telescope guy. Wow.
Yeah, he would be.
He'd be disappointed. Let's do better for Hubble. Our next story, it is about New Jersey again. This one's a bit changing gears. A man in New Jersey, he failed a workplace drug test. He failed it after testing positive for marijuana under New Jersey state cannabis law. However, he is suing his employee because he was wrongfully terminated, allegedly, for using it days after the state legalized the drug. New Jersey's top court ruled last year that employers cannot fire medical marijuana patients who use cannabis in their free time. The new marijuana legalization law will extend these protections to those 21 and older who are legal to smoke it, but whether or not that provision applies to workers now has been debated. Paul Myers, who is 53 years old, filed the lawsuit in state superior courts in Burlington County last month. He alleges that the National DCP, a supply chain company that services Dunkin' Donuts franchises. This is a little side note. Are they still called Dunkin' Donuts? I thought they were called
They're
Dunkin'.
called Dunkin'.
No, they're just called the Dunkin'.
I hate that.
Because
I really hate that. They should be Dunkin' Donuts. So thank you, NewJersey.com article, for doing it correctly.
Yeah,
I
I
guess
have
technically not correctly, but correctly in my eyes.
go to the Dunkin', get your coffee.
Get your coffee.
Okay. Okay. Do you want that's not the story. I'll complain about that another time. He broke the law. They broke the law when firing him from its West Hampton facility earlier this year. He was hired at the facility back in 2019. He has Crohn's disease and also underwent treatment for cancer shortly after he began the job. And according to the complaint, the procedures required him to take extended medical leave, as did his Crohn's symptoms. Attorneys have noted the confusion as the state sits between two different drug testing policies. Some workplaces have continued to enforce their previous policies. Others have just dropped marijuana drug tests altogether. Doing it, quote, creates a potential legal issue, and not doing it creates a potential legal issue. Sheila Mintz, a healthcare and cannabis attorney, which I did not know was a thing, with Capehard Scathard in Mount Laurel, previously told the NJ Advanced Media of employee drug testing. His lawsuit, at the end of the day, claims that the National DCP violated the state law against discrimination, the Jake Honegel Compassionate Use Medical Cannabis Act, and the new marijuana legalization law. So this is a controversial topic because it's something that they're trying to figure out if we can go buy a workplace or not.
Yeah, it's unfortunately federally, I think legal marijuana is still considered a legal substance.
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
And federally.
Level.
Yeah. So on the local level, yeah, you can do that. But if you appeal it to the federal courts, they're going to say this is legal.
Well, he is appealing to the state superior court.
Yeah.
Well,
if he goes any higher, they're not gonna even want his case, and I can tell you that already.
Well, of course not. I mean, they actually probably want his case. It just won't end very well for him.
well, first I have a couple questions. You said he had Crohn's disease, right?
Yes.
So did he have is the marijuana related to that?
The article does not go into that detail.
Okay, because I was gonna say you can get almost like a permit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, it's a
to-
medical marijuana card. It's very common.
Yeah. So I was and also I was wondering it was more of was it like the drug test, or was it like he was caught smoking on
Drug
the
test. Drug test.
Okay,
Drug
drug test.
So,
I mean,
my personal opinion, and this does not reflect the opinions of anybody else here or at the station, I think he is right to be suing because it was just legalized at that point. And he's someone, I don't know if he has a medical marijuana card or not. He's someone who I'm assuming relies on that for his Crohn's disease.
yeah, no, and marijuana has been proven to help treat it too.
Yeah,
so
it's proven.
yeah.
Science. Francis, Thomas, what do you think?
I mean, I really think it's more so just shows especially with companies, their archaic mindset in that they're still trying to punish people for something that's legalized, and it's absolutely ridiculous that you would do that to your workers and show them mistreatments by the company, especially someone that has a medical condition that's using marijuana, whether they have a med card or not, or using a legal substance. Even if he doesn't have a med card, he can legally smoke marijuana.
But
And
this also brings up the point of other
Companies,
things can be drug tested for, because there are alcohol drug tests. I know those do exist, and I'm sure that some places do require you to pass those. And that has been legal for decades upon decades. So
mean,
does
as
that
long
get
as
into an area where they cannot make failing a drug test for a legal drug, if you're at a legal age of consumption, of course, does that make
Uh,
it immoral or just illegal?
I mean, unless
it-
their levels of the drug that they're taking makes it to where they're inebriated, intoxicated, or high on the job. Okay, I get that, and I understand why you'd have to possibly hand out some punishment. But if it's not at that level, then there's no point. There should be a legal threshold of, okay, the levels of, say, THC within your body. Is it to where you're high on the job, where it impairs your ability to work and or potentially inhibits your safety on the job?
yeah, and that's the question at the end of the day.
But the level of THC to get at that is absurdly high. You'd have to literally be smoking 30 joints, and that's not an exaggeration.
Or the one from Cheech and Chong or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah,
So
it's
that would be
yeah,
incredibly rare.
yeah. It's not. It's companies outreaching, overstepping what they need to do sometimes.
Yeah, and I don't think it should be by workplace either. I really feel like there needs to be,
An independent
the
third
law.
party.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
an
because
independent third party.
Messy.
At the end of the
Oh,
day, it's important to remember that none of us here are experts.
No.
No, none of us know much of anything about this situation.
I mean, I was just gonna say I completely disagree with this, and I think he's right to sue. But when it comes to, they can't test you for a illegal substance. But like Francis said, if you happen to be just like with alcohol, if you happen to be intoxicated, or if
On the job,
yes,
Yeah,
on the
affecting
job,
your
and
quality
also
of work, that is a
work-
completely valid reason.
and also just like how you can't I used to work at a restaurant, you couldn't drink while you were at
Yeah.
the job.
You can't do that for practically any job.
I mean,
And there's a reason for that.
jobs when I worked at UPS, they never tested you for anything.
I actually worked at a couple hardware stores, and the initial initiation process, they did a small little drug test.
Which
But I
hardware
tried
store
something.
did you work for?
Lowe's. I've actually worked for both Lowe's and Home Depot.
Yeah,
I
worked at
hate Home
UPS.
Depot more than any other place on this earth. That is a conversation for another time. We're going to jump to a very quick break here on the the Morning Buzz at WMSC. We'll be right back. We got some lighter stories for you all very soon. I love that top of the hour so much. I don't know what it is about it. I always say it's the robot voice. I guess that's got to be it.
It's just relaxing, right? It's just so
It's
relaxing.
very relaxing. Great way to
Yeah.
put it, Trevor. Our
Yes.
next story, we have something that is very good for relaxing you as well. We got video games. Who doesn't like
And
video
movies.
games? Or at least, I should say, who doesn't like good video games? Yeah. So, except this one, I'm not gonna lie, it boils my bubbles. That's right.
I
It boils
just
my bubbles.
Rustles your jimmies.
it's
Yes, rustles my
it's-
jimmies if that's what you said.
it's frustrating to see this. Basically, at the end of the day, it is very frustrating to see this.
We're just gonna talk about how angry we are about it, but not actually talk about what it is.
Okay, should I
hate it.
explain?
It makes me so angry. No, our next story is about Netflix moving into video games.
Oh my God.
Just let it sink in. Just let it sink in, everybody.
If you
Get the
can't
idea.
beat them, join the video game market.
Do you know what I think? Unacceptable! I got to throw on my sound. I'm
You think it's
happy.
because of Peacock?
It is going
It is.
to.
Well, it's because they are having much slower growth than usual.
Yeah, 'cause
They
in
have had the worst slowdown in subscriber growth in 8 years, which is
Because-
why
Yeah,
they're
that's
adding
also
this new
the-
attraction.
Yeah, they have
because
they
because
have
because
competitors now.
basically they have multiple companies vying for streaming service eyes. They have HBO Max, which is kind of competing with them on the same level.
Hulu, Disney Plus, Peacock, they're all over the place.
Def-
There's so many more
yeah.
that I can't name them.
Amazon Plus, yeah,
And-
they have more competitors now more than ever.
And they basically are losing a lot of money because basically at the end of the day they don't know what their market is because they go for quantity over quality.
Yeah. On Tuesday
And-
that they announced that they're offering video games to no extra cost. I mean, that's a plus, I guess. But actually, I'm wondering what plan in particular. I'm wondering if it's just all the plans because there's a premium, there's a plus, or whatever. There are
It's
like 3 different ways you could pay.
They're banking on that. I mean, that's a very risky business.
It feels like they have no idea what they're doing.
it basically does. It basically does feel like they have no idea what they're doing. They're
Yeah.
trying to find stuff that will stick to the wall and hoping that will stay.
Yeah.
Basically, at the end of the day, they are more afraid of HBO Max because
Yes.
HBO
They didn't say when this service is going to happen, what kind of games they're going to be developing.
and,
They're
and-
taking another leap by offering video games that intends to produce itself as part of what is described as a multi-year expansion. That's right. The Los
Like-
Gatos, California company telegraphed the move last week when disclosed the hiring of a veteran video game executive, Mike Verdu, to
I
explore
actually-
potential opportunities in that field of entertainment.
I actually just wanted to say that I have both Netflix and Hulu, and I was just looking at the Netflix website to see what they had, but I barely use Netflix honestly because I don't really think they have like as much stuff.
I use it all the time.
No, they don't. They don't, and it's a mixture of the fact that they don't understand. They want to have content for everybody, and by doing that, they have content that's more quantity over actual quality, really good content. You can see stuff like, you can have stuff like faking it. You can have stuff like the
Because they
weird,
used to have a
weird
monopoly.
furry, the weird furry makeup thing or stuff.
That's the issue. They were the first ones to go big into streaming. So they've had the monopoly for so long, and now the market is finally competitive. To where now their product is like, okay, you're not offering anything special, and there's other people offering better stuff for more deals. So in their view, they're essentially just trying to maximize their profit instantaneously, super quickly. So they're gonna try and just push this video game thing, make it for free to where, okay, like it'll be super advertising for people to buy into, and they're hoping that can compensate for their profit losses.
What kind of video games you think Netflix is going to make?
I think like Google Stadia make like Google Stadia level games, like where they're
What
not
is that?
good, where they're not good. See, you don't even know Google Stadia. No one knows what Google Stadia is because Google Stadia is a joke. This whole like idea
like-
that
going to be incorporated with a said console, or is it going to be like they're making their own console or like game system with it?
Like it's a lot. It's a lot of questions that need to be answered. That's
Yeah.
basically what it is. It's
Okay, here's my theory.
If it's a touchscreen video game on the TV, I'm gonna laugh.
I'm going to
No,
laugh.
I was gonna say they were just gonna like rebrand Pac-Man or something like that.
Or they're gonna get the Ouya developers and create some really bad Ouya.
No, they should just make Wii Sports on Netflix. That'll sell.
Oh yes,
I think
that was mine.
I think that they are going to make video game versions of movies and TV shows that they have.
Oh, that's going to be horrible. That has a horrible track record.
It does, and I don't think it'll get any better. But that is what I'm assuming they're going to do.
Just imagine a point-and-click adventure game of Orange is the New Black, or something like that. Or something like the RPG of Army of the Dead, or something like that.
Point-and-click video games market's really only for like PC players anyway, so I don't know how well it's going to go over with like casual people that just like go on the TV.
Yeah.
So I got a question for you all. What is your favorite streaming service?
HBO Max.
HBO Max.
Yep.
Okay.
HBO Max is basically killing it right now because they know that they have a lot of content, and I don't want to get into everything that like I know about it because it's going to be a lot better and it's going to improve a lot more over time.
Okay, so HBO Max. Trevor, Francis. No, not Trevor, Thomas. I'm so sorry I keep doing that to you, Trevor.
No, I haven't tried all of them yet. So I've only tried Netflix and Hulu, but I'm like very stuck in the 80s, and like they have like all the shows from the 80s. So I definitely like Hulu.
You know, it's a lot of like unique content.
Yeah. Sure, people will be like, oh, you know, they charge more to have less ads, but honestly, like I don't mind the ads. Like they're just like
it's like what you're watching regular TV, how they did 10 years ago.
Yeah.
People did that for decades. And it's just commercial. Francis, do you have a favorite?
HBO Max more so because they have the most unique like content. So it's like any other streaming service, I feel like I'm basically
how much does HBO Max cost?
For the non-commercial one, which I say is really awesome, is $15 a month.
Yeah.
That's a lot of dollars a month. Always hears for me.
But
what do they have?
But to me, like they have stuff like from DC, they have HBO stuff, they have stuff from Cinemax, they have stuff from like recent release movies, same day and date movies. They have a bunch of things that I'm just
they have a massive library and a lot of stuff that most of their streaming services don't offer for a good price, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm gonna get yelled at.
Basically the same price, but for less.
I feel like I'm gonna get yelled at, but my favorite is Netflix. I love Netflix. I watched the entire second season of Never Have I Ever last night.
Mention that
like educational stuff and documentaries on Curiosity Stream.
What did you
that's super cheap.
Curiosity Stream.
Because like Netflix have a lot of Netflix exclusives. Is Stranger Things like still like the big thing? I mean, I don't really watch it.
Yeah, it's still the big thing, but like season 3 didn't hit as well as they wanted to.
That's true, but Netflix, what are you thinking? You're my favorite, Netflix. I love you so much, but this is an awful idea, and you're only going to make people upset. At least I think, unless you, by some sort of miracle, make the greatest video game ever made.
They're not going to.
Hey, Trevor! Don't you talk bad about my Netflix like that? No, you can't.
Try Netflix video game.
What'd you say?
I'm gonna try one of their video games.
Well, yeah, I mean it comes with the service. I'm gonna try it out when it happens, whenever it does. They don't know.
Wait, does it come does it come with the streaming service, or do I have to rent a DVD before I can?
They don't say.
I have a personal theory of when it's gonna come. Probably late 2024, probably.
2024. What makes you say that late?
Because they have to work on development and they have to figure out how it's going to interface with the user interface and stuff like that. They have to figure out a lot of problems before they say, yeah, we're going to release it in later than you actually think it's going to come out.
Yeah. I wonder if this is gonna get into an area where other streaming services are gonna do this or other ridiculous business ventures.
I don't think
Like, how would you
Warner-
react if HBO Max started making video games?
I don't think Warner Discovery are interested in that. No.
Well, do you think you would have said
Warner-
this about Netflix 3 years ago with David?
I can tell you quite honestly, the Warner Media is not interested in that stuff. They're going to try to repair all the relationships that they kind of broken during the Warner Bros. And AT&T deal. I can't go into everything about that, but I just know that Warner Media is not interested in that.
Well, which one does Warner Media run? HBO Max, I'm assuming.
HBO Max.
Okay. Well, let's say Hulu. What are the other ones going to do? Because
Disney
while
is
we all
losing-
think this is a
Disney-
terrible idea, I am sure there are
Disney-
people out there who love this idea.
Disney
What
is
are they gonna
losing. Disney is losing money, so they're not going to want to develop games.
Well, that's why Netflix is developing games because
Yeah,
they're
I
losing
mean they're doing it
subscribers.
for a profit incentive because they know there's a big market for it.
They're losing subscribers.
Yeah, I feel like Disney.
Well,
would
not
actually
losing.
be in-
They're getting less than they thought
Yeah.
they would.
And I
Disney
feel
is-
like Disney would actually be in a way better position to make video games since they've already partially developed and published video games before.
I personally
And
think
like a way closer attachment to actual like developers, both first and third party developers of video games.
I think this is just my opinion. This is not WMSC's opinion. I personally think Disney is not the long-term deal of Fox was never a good idea. They are in massive debt and they're never going to pull out of it. If they didn't have the parks, they would have been failing right now.
There's no way that any of us could know that for sure, but you definitely do have your beliefs about it. It's
They need to have Pac-Man and Donkey Kong.
if I don't see a version of Pac-Man where there's a little what's the thing called a Demogorgon running around,
Yeah.
that's the Stranger
I
Things
honestly
thing.
don't know what that thing is called.
It's
I
the
think they
Stranger
are-
Things
I think-
monster.
I think they already have a Stranger Things game.
I was kidding, but I wouldn't be surprised to see other streaming services venture into other stuff like this, or they become multimedia conglomerates, if you will.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised because really, we were talking about it a couple stories ago with forest fires and the environment. It comes down to capitalism for most of these companies, especially entertainment companies. They just want to make money. And Netflix is no different in wanting to make video games. Now, if I'm wrong and they happen to make, I don't know, something amazing, better than Halo. Halo is my favorite video game. I love Halo. Better than that. Then I don't know, I'll eat my own shoe on air. But I don't think this will go very well.
No, it won't.
Trevor, bring us our next story.
Okay. Have you ever had the worst day ever? Well, somebody had the worst day ever in their life as a teenager. Oh boy. So in Massachusetts, a 19-year-old driver narrowly avoided hitting a squirrel on the roadway and then crashed into the ancestral home of President Abraham Lincoln. Yes, that happened. Basically, the kid was like driving on the highway and then swerved and missed a squirrel, which is like, and then hit into the ancestral home of Abraham Lincoln's parents.
I mean, honestly, hey, I think a squirrel's more important than an old ancestral home of someone that's been gone for like nearly 200 years now. So, considering it's Abraham Lincoln's parents.
All right, so yeah, the story
just
what
bad.
happened is the 19-year-old driver, he swerved out of the way, not hit that squirrel, but then he hit 182 North Street in Hingham, Massachusetts. Went right through the house. That's where his great-grandfather, President Lincoln's great-grandfather, Samuel Lincoln, that's where he would first settle. I find this kind of funny. Half the car was inside the house, not the entire thing, just half. The driver was uninjured, sitting on the sidewalk when officers arrived. she was given a citation for failing to stay inside marked lines. I think you got to get way more than just a citation.
You got to get more than that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
because
No one
because-
else no one was injured either. The residents in the home, they weren't hurt. The homeowners, they were sleeping upstairs when the SUV crashed into their living room.
That's got to be a great start to the day.
Yeah. Imagine being woken up by your house being run into.
It's like
Imagine,
this in Over the Hedge, where the
Yeah.
giant truck comes flying into the house when the woman's waking up.
imagine
Yeah.
having to explain this to people.
to your parents as well. To your parents that you crashed your Audi A4 you crashed your car into the ancestral home of Abraham Lincoln.
Or
Well, he
more
didn't
so,
live there. He
like,
didn't
the
live there. He was
homeowner
from,
themselves and
I
their
believe,
property
Kentucky.
value.
I believe he was from Kentucky. I could be wrong. He was from that area of the country. He wasn't from there.
Illinois, I think. Was it
Illinois?
Yeah, he was born in
could be one.
Kentucky.
He was born in Kentucky. Boom. Facts. We can go enough. That was it for today at the morning. No, I'm kidding. But
It's
first of all, running into a house by itself is ridiculous. And I can't believe it happened.
Well, I mean that must have meant that the house must have been like right on the road, because I couldn't imagine a car would go that flying off the road and they wouldn't be able to stop.
Well, yeah, it's probably like a
before
suburb.
hitting-
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was probably just like a typical suburb.
like down the road near me, there's an old ancestral house. Like there's a historical house like on the road, and it's like near a hill. And if some people, you can drive into it. It's possible.
Hey, hey, at the end of the day, the squirrel's okay.
It's like the main priority was the squirrel, and it's like, oh my god. The
Well,
squirrel.
Well, I
honestly,
don't,
sorry,
I don't
what was
know
that?
if you realized that. I don't know if you realized at the time that like when did the kid find out that this was a historical?
The article doesn't say. I'm assuming they probably didn't know until after. I mean,
Yeah.
also, I'm wondering how much extra money that house is worth because it was built by Abe
Well,
Lincoln's
I was
great
just saying
grandfather.
earlier, the property value just got defunct, so I'm sure the homeowners aren't happy about that.
If anything, I'm sure it. For all I know, maybe it could have gotten even higher. Honestly, I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Has more history or whatever.
Well, sometimes those
As long as it's
historical,
repaired to the same quality.
sometimes historical houses are surprisingly, weirdly, some of them can be expensive and some of them can't be. It's weird. It's a gray area sometimes. It's weird.
It was a little cottage apparently. Oh wait,
Then,
is
yeah,
that?
I
It's
would
actually
imagine
called.
that's not
It's
super
actually
common.
called the Samuel Lincoln Cottage. So that means that it's probably recognized. So I'm wondering if she knew. The driver knew when she hit. He's like, "Oh no, I hit the Samuel
I
Lincoln."
mean, I don't think at the exact moment, but they probably, if they lived locally within the area, maybe.
I'm assuming they probably did. They're driving around to 6:30 in the morning
Mhm.
on a Thursday.
Yeah. So, but yeah,
So
that happened.
I'm actually looking this up right now, and it does seem to have suffered some damage before I see that there is a article about a fire that occurred
Oh wow.
as well.
Now that house has been through it.
Yeah, that house.
This
That house is
like the
quite
whole,
dangerous.
I don't know if that's the front or the back of the house, but like you can see like the ply of like
Maybe,
the house.
4
maybe it's built
fires
on
and
it.
7
Maybe it's
crashes
built on
ago.
it. Maybe it's built on Indian burial ground.
I doubt that. 4 fires and 7 crashes ago. This house. That's all I got. That's the only
Yeah.
part of that joke I can make because I don't know the rest of it. We're gonna move on to our last story of the day. We got a story about if you mess with the ball, we'll get the horns. That has absolutely nothing to relate to this besides the fact that it's about a bull. I just wanted to say that expression. In Long Island, a bull decides to wreak havoc. A loose bull temporarily shut down a New York highway. Authorities and animal rescue groups in New York were attempting to capture an escape bull that shut down a stretch of highway on Tuesday morning. The Suffolk County Police Department said officers were dispatched about 8:20 a.m. on a report of a loose bull in Mastic, Long Island. Police sent out alert asking residents in the area to remain indoors and report any sightings of the animal to 911. The bull escaped from a farm by, of course, breaking through a fence, just as if a 19-year-old driver would crash through a historic house. A stretch of Sunrise Highway was shut down near exit 58 shortly after the first reported bull sightings when the animal wandered into the roadway. The bull left the area. Highways reopened after about 20 minutes. Rescue group Long Island Orchestrating for Nature said in a Facebook post that personnel are working with police to capture the bull safely and find the animal a new home at a sanctuary. So I guess that does end pretty well. I find it funny.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this when I found this story. We have come so far. We have gotten to the place where we can just go to space, kind of relatively on a whim.
Yeah.
We have found the cures for many things, the uncurable. We've done the impossible many times, just as a species. But then a bull, just some animal, just does whatever it wants, and it just completely wrecks our plans. I find that hilarious. Right?
It's the ultimate adage of a bull in a china shop.
I guess. I mean, this has nothing to relate to the fact that we've become so advanced. I mean, we're thought of as the greatest animal because we are technically animals. We are Homo sapiens, technically animals. That's our scientific name. We thought of the greatest animals because we're smarter than everything else and we are able to think out like other things are not. But sometimes they just don't care. They're
No.
just better animals in some respects. Right? Just sitting on a highway, doing his thing. Nothing to do about that.
If you think, I'm going to give this if you're listening to this and you think a bull is cute and cuddly, it's not. A bull will actually give you concussions and stuff like that because it does not like movement in any capacity.
Well, there's a reason why they say you don't mess. If you mess with the bull, you get the horns.
Yep.
Haha! See, it circled around. Haha! I did it.
Yeah. Like it's very interesting to me that happened in Long Island because people in Long Island were like, "Is that a bull?"
I could see that happening in Nebraska.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I was
Long
gonna
Island?
say, where did this bull come from? Like I haven't heard of. I mean,
From a farm. It was on a farm.
Because I've heard of them upstate, but like
it was on a farm.
On a farm in Long Island. That's funny.
Yeah, I get food from somewhere. Francis, what are you thinking? You've been kind of quiet about this.
I mean, I don't know. It's just weird. I mean, I've seen it more so going out in this, like the South and the Midwest and out in the West. And specifically, like there would be massive like traffic stops because there'd be cows walking on the road. I mean, even in town, because I basically see Chicago as like a swamp, there's always geese on the road or turtles. But it's never anything like that where you see like a bull out of nowhere. So
yeah. It's just funny how animals can just do whatever they want and just completely wreck our plans. Like the big ones, especially like a bull. Nothing to do about it. It's just you gotta wait it out. You ever heard about moose?
Like they're eating out and they destroy the local trash can because they want food.
Yeah. You ever hear about moose?
Yeah,
moose are like 10 feet tall.
We in my town, Demorest, we currently have a bear roaming around, a black bear. And
is that one? Is that one of the bad bears, or is that brown bear?
Yes, it is. It is one of the bears you do not want to mess with.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, it's going to end badly. I know that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a bear. What do you think?
I don't want it to become a guard.
It's got to let it do its thing. Just wait until winter until it hibernates. You got like 4 or 5 more months until it goes away. I got a weird question for you all.
Yeah.
I did this the other day, and I do it pretty much every single time. And I was by myself, and I still did it. I was driving, and I saw a cow on a farm. Okay?
Yeah.
So, of course, I just said, cow! Do you guys scream cow when you happen to see a cow?
I just moo at them, and they
moo?
Yeah.
I just moo. That's it.
I once went to Ohio. They got cows everywhere. I couldn't speak anymore. I lost my voice. It was bad.
Yeah, you go to like Kentucky, Arkansas, they have cows nonstop.
Or if you go down south, you get more cows in Virginia.
No, you want to see an animal? Go to West Virginia. You have a 1 in 27 chance of hitting a deer with your car.
Is that an actual statistic?
Yes.
That
is a fact.
I
get
it.
That's a real fact.
I can attest to that. You can see a lot more deer in West Virginia.
1 in 27.
Yep, definitely
I would think
true.
it'd be even more here because I am always seeing deer right here.
Why do you think they have bow hunting season? West Virginia.
Do they?
Yes, they do.
I've never been to West. You seem to know a lot about West Virginia, Trevor.
I've been to West Virginia many, many times.
I don't think anybody has ever said that sentence before.
I've been going there since I was really little, so I know West
Huh.
Virginia.
Why?
No,
What's in West
it's 1 in
Virginia?
46. My bad. I got the wrong numbers, but it's 1 in 46 of hitting a deer in
It's
West
still pretty
Virginia.
significant.
Still
Yeah,
pretty high.
and the national average is 1 in 162.
Huh.
So that's
Trevor, before we wrap up, tell us what's so special about West Virginia.
Snowshoe Mountain, West Virginia, and it's a place that my family goes to every year around Christmas.
I've heard that West Virginia is.
I always said-
I say this as nice as
I-
possible. I don't mean to disrespect your family. West Virginia
I
is
always said
awful.
to my parents, John Denver calls it almost heaven.
All right,
Well,
that's
West
gonna
Virginia's
wrap.
a character, so
That is going to wrap us up here today on the Morning Buzz. I have been Kenny Horn, the main host for Wednesday edition.
Yeah.
Joined by my co-host who has returned, Trevor Gioia, our newscaster, Francis Churchill, our sportscaster, Thomas Tartar. You have been listening to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. We'll be back next week, all four of us. We have got a great show for you then. We've got a great show for you forever. And if you want another great show, tune in tomorrow for Isaiah Ramirez and Cam Martin as they take on what's going on in the world. Goodbye.
Hey, you're listening to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair, where music stays cool. Cooler than a dog on a skateboard. Okay, I take that back, but we're still pretty cool.
Show me how you care. Tell me how you loved before. Show me how you smile. Tell me why your hands are cold. I'm turning around, I'm having visions of you. Then I understand. Different I'm dreaming of is far away. But I'm here, Show me how you're proud. Tell me how you reach the moon. My